let's move on because the Queensland government is generously donating $500 million of taxpayer money to a private firm's wind farm development. The total cost of the 46 turbine project is $1.3 billion.
Joining us is Nationals MP Keith Pitt. Keith, thanks for being with us. Help me understand, the Queensland government, they've got $500 million for a wind farm somewhere between Mackay and Rockhampton. Meanwhile, the Bruce Highway continues to be in a terrible state of disrepair.
Well, James, I don't think you understand just how cheap Chris Bowen's plan is. It's so cheap, you need renewable energy certificates paid for by electricity users, $500 million in additional capital from the Queensland taxpayer, from a government-owned corporation, guaranteed rates of return where the wholesale power is purchased by the Queensland government through their company CleanCo, plus they get a waiver, just get the flag wave for a whole heap of development rules. They don't have to worry about any of those. It's so cheap that the federal government is now going to provide a $300 subsidy to every electricity user. And in Queensland, it's $1,000. But on the Bruce Highway, a very serious accident occurred today up in the north. Yeah. There has been a number of fatalities. My thoughts are with those individuals who are directly involved and their families. And unfortunately, this is a common occurrence. It is a common occurrence. So we know where the Queensland government's priorities are. And you've only got to look at what happened even when we were in coalition. Lou O'Brien and I secured $800 million towards the bypass in Gympie in 2016, and it was the 2020s before it got going. That's how serious the Queensland Labor government are about upgrading our roads. They've just got their priorities completely wrong.
Yeah, you're spot on. Meanwhile, they're just going with this green zealotry line, Keith Pitt, and not actually focusing on what needs to be done. But look, I want to ask you, because this afternoon the Prime Minister finally did what he should have done a week ago, and that's suspend Fatima Payman after she again threatened to cross the floor. Why do you think it's taken the Prime Minister this long to act?
Oh, well, the crossbench have clearly got Fatima in their crosshairs. They want her on the crossbench. What she said on Insiders this morning, there's just no way that the Prime Minister couldn't act. He has taken too long, but it's out with the wet lettuce leaf. You're out indefinitely unless you say you're going to be good and behave yourself, and then you can come back in whenever you're ready. I mean, what's next? It'll be the fatwa on Fatima. That's what's happening with the Labor MPs and unions and their other supporters. This doesn't happen on our side. It's just unheard of. People on our side cross the floor constantly. And, good on her for standing up. She's the first member of the Labor caucus in literally decades to do something like this, and she's doubled down.
Keith, talk to me about the decision to ban live sheep exports. That was originally supported by West Australian Teal MP Cheney, but she's had a sudden change of heart and decided to vote against it, despite speaking in favour of this ban for the longest time. So does she suddenly support the farmers in her electorate, or is she just worried about her job?
Well, she was one of the strongest voices calling for an end to the trade. And clearly what's happened now is the research and the polling says the opposite. And survival is everything for members of Parliament. Clearly the ideals don't matter anymore. It's about actually not being defeated at the next election. And this is a big deal in Western Australia, because no matter what business you're in, what it says to you, Labor will shut your business down. They will end your industry. They will ensure you can't pay your bills if you are involved in something for which they have an ideological view that they oppose, or, of course, if they maybe need deals on preferences somewhere in some sort of by-election. So you've now got an independent who's literally backflipped overnight and is now the strongest supporter of the live sheep exports out of WA that we've ever seen. It's a miracle.
It is such a miracle. And, if Labor were smart on this, Keith, WA is such a kingmaker ahead of the next federal election. You wouldn't want to let down the farmers in the West and the people in the West who genuinely support this, who need this for their own survival. And now, no wonder Kate Cheney's come out and suddenly changed her mind on this. No surprises. Now, look, before we let you go, how do you think the presidential debate in the US went? How would you rate Joe Biden's performance?
Oh, it was Rocky Balboa versus Kermit the Frog, and Kermit was wearing the blindfold. To be honest, in all seriousness, I'm actually very concerned. I mean, it's the leader of the free world. The US plays such an important part everywhere, and that's that type of demonstration in a live debate. I don't think that the only winners out of that are China, and we've all seen the failings of the current president of the United States, and Australia's always had a strong relationship. We'll continue to do that. We'll work with whatever administration the American people put up, but it is just so blindingly obvious that there's an issue. They have to act. They must act. They must do something about this, because I just don't think it can be sustained. And it's not in the world's interest for America to have a leader who has any questions about them whatsoever. We need them to ensure the world order remains stable. They're a very strong ally of ours, the biggest economy in the world, and we need them to be strong.
Yeah, Keith Pitt, you're absolutely correct. Hey, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Great to be with you.